right, we're running about 5 minutes late. We're gonna start calling the meeting to order. We're gonna have, clerk call, roll call.
Commissioner Grogan,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Mayor Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Firstner,
Here.
Commissioner Oliver.
Here.
All right. This is advertised public hearing to adopt a final millage rate and finalize the budget for the city of Ocoee. The city commission has previously approved a tentative millage rate of 6.5000 mills, which represents a 17.2 increase in millage over the rollback rate of 5.3820 mills. The adopted tentative millage rate is the maximum millage rate which may be adopted by the city commission at this final budget public hearing tonight. I now ask the Director of Finance to make a brief presentation.
The proposed operating budgets for the city of Ocoee for FY 2019 total $85,115,289. The proposed general fund budget is $52,668,394, which reflects the tentative millage rate of 6.5. Ad valorem taxes are being assessed to provide funding for operational expenses, capital purchases, debt service payments, and salaries necessary to provide municipal services. The commission adopted a tentative millage rate for FY 2019 of 6.5 mils. This rate is higher than the rollback rate of 5.3820 and represents an increase in the millage over the rollback of 6.77%. The tentative millage rate generates about $2,774,275 more in revenues than the rollback rate. Of this amount, $2,481,240 is undesignated and has been placed in the contingency account. Adoption of the 6.5 mils requires a majority vote by the commission. Commission was provided revised budget pages that reflect changes discussed at the tentative budget hearing, including adjustments for the tentative millage rate, as well as the correction of mathematical errors. A few data entry errors that do not affect the bottom line were corrected after the pages were printed and will be reflected in the final budget. An adjustment was also made to the water wastewater fund subsequent to publishing. Those are some of the pages you have. The change has no effect on the millage rate. Commissioners were provided those pages. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I will now open this meeting for any members of the general public to speak or ask questions. If any members of the general public wish to speak or ask questions and have not already filled out a speaker form, please fill out a speaker form and present it to the city clerk prior to speaking. All right, I have one form here from Mr. Atkins, and I'm on a 5 minutes. Thank you, Mayor.
First, I want to take a second to say thank you, as always, Mayor and Commissioner, for giving me your time. My name is Chris Adkins. I live at 606 Ridgefield Avenue here in Ocoee, Florida. I've been here for 17 years, raising my family here. My wife and I have been volunteers in the community for many, many years. So the reason I do this is because I care. I'm going to only touch briefly on what I was here about 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I've been here for years talking about the non-ad valorem assessments and about our millage rate being higher than everybody else. You know, so I'm going to show you the breakdown one more time. Ocoee's millage rate is significantly higher than the ones around us. Okay, that's what this meeting's about in the budget. 2, we have the ad valorem tax assessments. These are fees that are added to your tax bill. And when I think about it, you know, I continue to think that it's a regressive platform. What it does is it hurts our veterans, our elderly, our disabled, people who own homes less than $150,000, and it puts them out a little bit more than everybody else. And that's why I have brought this up for years. But like I said, I'm not going to beat that horse to the ground because, to be honest with you, it's already said and done. Our non-ad valorem assessments have been used to now solidify a loan to do our downtown development. I think absolutely growth is imperative and important. At the same time, I brought up two particular items last week, 2 weeks ago. One was Founder's Day. I'm not even going to touch base on it. The second was an audit, an individual audit by department. A lot of people tie this directly to financial issues, and that's not necessarily the case. You do an audit. I come from an operations and an audit background, right? So it's about efficiency, it's about productivity, it's about hard assets. An audit goes much deeper than just a dollar figure. So when people talk about an audit, a lot of times they associate it with, oh, someone's trying to catch someone using money they're not supposed to. That has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Our city's never done one. So, I mean, by the end of this meeting, I would hope that I'd be able to hear from each one of you guys and know your specific position on why we would or would not want to have one of those when we're increasing our output by $40–50 million. Okay? So, I want to read something from March 21st, 2017. This was the ordinance that was put forth for final vote, voted unanimously by the mayor and the commission in regards to the use of the non-ad valorem assessments and attaching them to the bonds. This is what it says. This is the paperwork verbatim. It's going to be section B. I won't go through section. It's number 8, page 3, section B. Supplemental resolution to capital improvement revenue and refunding bonds, series 2017, not to exceed $44 million. As a part of the annual budget adoption, the City Commission approved the financing of capital improvements to the downtown area of the city. Barring the new projects, $25 million and additional proceeds of $18 million will be used to retire the Capital Improvement Refunding Revenue Note Series 2011 and Transportation Improvement Refunding Revenue Note Series 2012. This financial structure will result in a level debt service payment of approximately $2.5 million annually through 2046. So that means we owe $2.5 million till the year 2046, secured by our non-ad valorem fees. Okay? The very next line states this: there is not expected, I understand the word expected, to be any additional financial burden to city taxpayers as a result of this bond issue. So in their own words, with the downtown development, which I support, I didn't say I didn't, I think it's important and imperative we stay within our budget. If we got to take less trees, we have less trees. If we got to have a 4-boat dock instead of a 6, we got to do so. Because when we look at our structure, if we have any kind of economic downturn, we're going to find ourselves stretched really thin and falling on people who are less fortunate. I don't like that. Now, there's one thing, I only got 1 minute left, and I want to touch base on it, okay? A lot of people talk about the firefighter fees. It's actually not regressive, it's progressive. It's based upon the size of the home, which typically means that it costs more to go to a larger home. That's the opposite of the other fees that we have, that we actually use for things that have nothing to do with what the fee says, okay? But 3 years ago, the fire department came here and asked for a fire department in a Northwest Fire Station. We built the city of Ocoee High School, we built homes out there, and we've been using a temporary facility for a long, long time. I do see here on the capital program for 2018 to 2021 that they have $1.57 million set to the side in 2021 for your new fire department, where it belongs probably right now, past due. So I would say if you're going to go forward and using any more additional money, especially when it comes to millions of dollars, we're standing in a building that was built in 1994 that has to be demolished 24 years later to build a $9 million new one. We should start thinking a little bit more about safety in that instance. So my point of view would be to keep those funds. If we fall over budget, we need to stay within the budget. And if we need more money, it should go to build that fire department that has been waiting to be done for quite a few years. My 5 minutes is up.
Okay. You got 22 seconds? Or that? Oh, that's all right. Oh, sorry, it went over.
You gave me 22 seconds more, thank you. You're always fair. I mean, we kind of go back and forth as far as, you know,
Hey,
what thing, but
We
you're always fair.
appreciate it, like I
Yeah.
told you, we appreciate your thoughts. Anybody want to ask any questions of Mr. Atkins or make any statements?
I'm just, well, you
I'd
want
like to get you on the record in regard to the audit, each one of you, if possible.
We'll get to that.
Okay, cool.
No, I definitely appreciate you participating in this. And as sometimes hard as it is to listen to people telling us that we might not be doing the right thing or this and that, it's needed. It's definitely needed. As of the fire station, we'll have one in 2 years. It's being built. We're working on that right now. if you listened to the last commission meeting, you would have heard all what we're doing, and we're having one put in there. We got the land, we got everything done, it's gonna be going in. Well, as long as we vote on it.
Well, I mean, obviously,
But
I think,
yeah.
we've said
That's
for a couple of
happening.
years, but I hope so.
It's gonna be, it's a permanent building, it's gonna go in.
Beautiful. I hope so. That would be great.
Yep.
What's your opinion on the audit? You were the original,
Well,
Brogan, the person who
I'm a
brought the audit
certified,
before the commission.
I'm a certified auditor, and what you were saying was exactly right. It's not about technically the money. It's about operation. It has a lot to do with safety issues. It rolls into a whole bunch of things. Efficiency, there's a whole bunch involved when you do something like that. And I will be continuing talking to Rob about, I definitely still think we should be doing one. I mean, we gotta figure it out, and department by department, and go from there. But yeah, it's what I did. I'm for it. And it doesn't have anything reflecting on anybody doing anything bad or good in the city. It has nothing to do with that. It's a standard that we want to meet, and that's what we go by, so.
As an auditor myself,
Yes.
through operations and auditing, and I traveled southwestern part of the country for a Fortune 500 company, so I understand it. It's actually a quality and good thing to
It's
do.
exactly what it is.
It is.
Yep.
Okay?
You're right.
It's not, being the auditor, you're always the bad guy, or
True.
they assume you are.
That's
There's
true.
lots of times you find things through in an audit that has nothing to do with any personal misconduct.
Correct.
Or inappropriate actions. It just happens to be something that slipped away, and when you go longer years, it slips away for longer, and potentially, you may have some waste that you could be using in other areas that could benefit us. That's the only purpose of it.
Okay, all right.
No, I don't think I have anything to add. Thank you for being here, Chris. We always
My pleasure,
appreciate it.
Rosemary. You've always had an open ear. Thank you.
And, but I don't think I can add anything more to John, except that I would say, if you have a chance to go to the city's website and listen to the last meeting, because there was a presentation, just tell you it was early on in the meeting, so you don't have to listen to the whole thing unless you want. But it was
This was
early.
last evening?
It was
Yep,
this
last
last
Tuesday.
commission meeting that, I think it might enlighten you on the fire station.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So it was a presentation by an individual,
Unfortunately, I get to
okay?
volunteer my time, but I don't catch each one.
No,
So
well,
I'm glad to hear that, because I didn't see that, and I brought it up totally
Yeah.
out of my notes over the last years for coming here. That's where I brought it up out
So,
of.
just go to YouTube, it's on there,
Cool.
our meetings are.
All right, I will. Thank you,
Okay, larger
Rosemary.
than
Thank you.
life, okay. And I probably can't add much more than what you both have said, and I think it's interesting, I think we, again, looking at that,
I appreciate you.
thank you.
Commissioner Furman, any comments?
No, no comments.
Commissioner Oliver?
I want to thank you for your assessments and the information that you're providing, because it also enlightens me as to where we are when we look at our millage rates compared to other cities around us. Again, I look at cities that look like our city. If I look at Apopka and you look at the population density, and if you just look at it from a 30,000-foot overview, we look pretty close to the same. And when we look at development, we're pretty close in development where we stand today. And their millage rate is, was it 3.4 or something like that?
I could tell you, but. yeah,
Compared to where we
just for
are,
time, yeah.
that is, for me, I look at that and I wonder why. Why is our millage rate so high as compared to a city that looks just like ours? So, again, you bring up a lot of great points. As far as the audit is concerned, I would definitely support an audit such as the one that Commissioner Grogan presented some time ago. I do audits myself, and just the other day I heard a term that I hadn't heard in so long was TQM and TQL. I hadn't heard those terms in years and years and years, but it brought me back to the word efficiency, which you just said, efficiency. So that's what audits are really about. It's about how to actually take the revenue that we're bringing in and efficiently use it in a manner that we can stretch it to so we can kind of keep millage rate and taxes down. So again, I would support a audit if we can come to some kind of consensus as to how we will go about doing it, when we will go about doing it, and what would be the cost to do such an audit. So I'm not sure, are you talking about more like a forensic audit or just more departmental?
I would get with Commissioner Grogan. I doubt anything's going to happen this evening, just based upon how the proceedings are going. But this isn't the first time that it's been brought up. Like I said, it's been years in the past. So it'd be something you guys work through. I think you know he had already done the research on the cost analysis on it, and the reasoning that we were given as a community was that the cost analysis came back to be more than what it originally was, and we didn't have it in the budget at that time. So it's just something that, like I said, I feel it needs to be done. And if you don't mind, can I make a comment about the youth initiative you had said last time? Is that okay?
Yes.
Because I actually am going to, my neighbor's 91 today, and I'm going to go to her birthday. Her dinner started at 6. So, and I want to say this up front, I'm not disrespecting anybody by speaking and leaving, but I'm leaving to go have dinner with her and her family. That's the God's honest truth. I would sit here and listen to everything to the end like I have every other time, regardless if it has nothing to do with it, so I don't want to seem rude in that aspect, okay? There's one thing that, Mr. Oliver, listening to what you had said last week in regards to our youth, that I think is important as well, and that I think we have an avenue we can work on is, our children have to pay $1 or $1.50 to play basketball in the Jim Beach Center. I don't know if you guys know that. There's a fee to play basketball as a city resident. I think it would be great to have like the police or the fire department to have a couple people, that could volunteer some time and have some open gym that's free. That would be a way to have the children in the community work and see the police officers in the community and the firefighters in the community instead of charging them per se. So that may be something that you could do once a month or something of that nature that may help get some kids out of the streets and into the gym and meeting some people that are influential in their life. That's something that's important because they are our future actually. So
All right.
Great point.
cool.
All right, well, couple things. Real quick on the sports thing, I was involved in a lot of activities in sports, way more than a lot of people around here on this board in the years past. And I'll tell you, I played in Orlando, I played in the Popka, I played in Winter Garden, and they have fees for everybody that plays in any of their gyms. You go to their gyms, most every one of them, if you're most people, you're gonna pay for it. And that's all right. $1.50 sounds like a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money. And if there's times in the summertime, I know they have open time in there where the kids are playing and stuff like that, which is a good thing, because our youth activities, I think, and you know it too, is one of the best in the area.
I don't deny that. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I don't have time to debate about that.
Yeah, I know you don't got time. It's okay. Go ahead.
And you sit up here, you come up here and you think about things, you don't fully understand what's going on in our city. Our bond issues are relevant to what we've done in this city in the last 30 years. There's certain things we have to pay for, and our ad valorem can't change because of that in the last few years. Because we, unlike a Popka, might be near the same size as people, is not the same size as commercial. You go to a Popka and take a peek at all the commercial and all the economic development they got in that place. It's nothing like we got. Winter Garden has for years had way more commercial growth than we did. Go right down Highway 50. Go look at the Fowler's Groves Mall. Go look at all the downtown. They have way more commercial, way more ad valorem money coming in to pay for that stuff. But they are raising their tax this year. And a lot of men don't understand that, but that's their business. So ours is gradually coming down because we're gradually going up with the economic benefits of the city.
We can go back and forth to that. We have for years, Mayor. I mean, the bottom line is the ad valorem fees that we have that I'm specifically talking about, which would be for trash, is not fair for somebody who owns an $800,000 house and a little old lady that's 91 who owns a $100,000 house be charged the same amount. That's where regression comes in. You could be progressive. I can charge the $800,000.
Mr. Atkins, I want you to get to the party.
Well.
And I can't make this long conversations after each one of these things. So
What do you mean by get to the party?
I
I'm
wanted to
confused.
speak my time. We
Yeah.
each got to
Yeah.
go, and I've asked for audits before.
Yeah.
If you ever go back during the past years, you can see where I asked for audits. I'm not going over that.
We haven't done one, that's all.
All right,
That's all I'm saying.
I did,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, the ad valorem affects because of a lot of things. When you got here, I don't know, 18 years ago and bought your house, we didn't have sewer before in a lot of places in the city. Mr. Smith knows, we had to buy the sewer facility. Well, we had the bond money to do that.
I have a septic
We
tank.
have, huh?
I have a septic tank. So does
Well,
the
you
90.
might have one, but a lot of people in this town don't. And where do you think that septic tank goes? There's other things in the city that has
I
to
mean, you can
cost.
turn it every way you like, and I appreciate your time, sir. I don't want to
I
interrupt
know.
you and be rude.
No, I'm not turning, I'm just trying to explain to you. You
I
asked-
understand it,
you-
Mayor. I understand it. I
can't-
promise.
I cannot talk
Okay.
when you're talking.
Okay.
And I appreciate you being up here, and I've told you before. But you won't let anybody else talk when they get to talking.
Okay.
You know, when we try to explain to you what the facts are and how they go, you gotta listen to that sometimes too. Listen.
When you assume that I don't research the facts, it's kind of difficult as well.
I'm not gonna argue with
arguing with anybody, sir.
No, well, yeah, you were.
Okay.
All right, but I'm just saying, that's why our ad valorem's been high over the years, and that's why populations are lower, because they have more business, more commercial, more things going on in their city.
I understand
Same
ours
thing.
are higher than theirs.
So we're lowering our sum in the
Okay.
last 3 years.
Sounds good,
Right.
yes.
Okay. And, tell that lady happy birthday.
I will, thank you, guys.
You too.
You too.
All right. Let's see. All right, anybody else in the public want to speak? Nobody? All right. Let's see. All right. We're gonna close the public speaking portion of the meeting and call upon the city commission for any general comments, questions, or discussion. Amendments to proposed tentative budget. At this time, we will consider and vote on any amendments to the adopted tentative budget. Amendments may be presented separately or grouped together. Does any commissioners have any motions with respect to amendments to the adopted tentative budget?
Are you referring to questions about individual items or referring to the 5.5?
It says any move to amend the tentative budget. If you have anything that will amend it,
I have a couple questions.
Huh?
I have a couple questions. Okay?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
I'm
I'm sorry.
waiting.
I was, I noticed on page 72, I thought we discussed at the last meeting the neighborhood, let me get the neighborhood matching grant. There's nothing in that line item, and I think we discussed it at our last meeting, saying that that was going to be, we were going to get rid of the merit board, which was the merit grant, which was a CMA, and the MVP, if I'm correct in my letters, most valuable partnership. We were going to leave that in there. And I noticed on page 72, it is not there on the 219 proposed budget. So am I wrong that we
No,
were?
you were correct. I'm not certain why in this printed version it doesn't show, but it was in there in the last version. I'll have to look to see what happened, but we were leaving that, and you're correct, the 10,000 was moved into reserve.
Okay,
because you were
correct.
going
Just want to make
talk about
sure.
it. Yeah, that was, I'm not sure why it doesn't appear there, but it certainly.
But it's
was
going, it
added.
will appear.
It will appear.
Thank you, that's what I want to know. The other item that I was looking at is, I just saw and again, I'm not here to criticize, on the community support services, I think the budget went from 22,000 for community promotions to 35,000. Are we gonna be doing something special?
What page?
That's on the same page, page 72,
Third from the bottom.
third from the bottom. I just wonder if we're doing something more special than we might have done, and that's great if we are.
What we did is we combined two account lines,
Oh, okay,
and that's the same amount of money.
okay,
We used to have community promotion and something else that looked like community promotion, and it was sort of random as to pick which. So rather than do that, it wasn't really a distinction useful to us, and so we just put the two together.
okay,
So one of them got bigger and the other one went to zero. But the bigger is equal to the sum of the other.
so we're not
two
losing
from
anything, we're
last
just
year.
putting.
We're not
two-
losing anything, we're not gaining anything, it's exactly the same amount of money.
Okay.
We just put it under one account rather than split it into two accounts that essentially said the same thing, and it was fairly random to pick which one we charged stuff to. So we made
Okay.
it all community promotion so that we'd just be able to track the one item.
Okay, sounds good. And the other thing, I guess, Al, while you're still here, don't sit down yet for one more question. On the cemetery is looking better. It is.
I
But
can't
we-
take any credit for
Well, okay.
What'd you say?
The cemetery is looking better, but on the cemetery line, I think that cemetery is something we probably need to bring up during our regular commission meeting, because that's probably where we would discuss more cleaning up in there of folks that they think they can,
Trinkets.
they love to have trinkets and little things hanging up. At least that, should I say, the fishing rod and the
Yes.
empty cans, beer cans are gone from where I'm going to be put one day. But that's how we used to find it. The other aspect is there's nothing in the budget for it was 20,000 last year and there's zero. Are you you don't deal with cemetery support?
What page?
No,
That was on, I'm sorry, oh, I just wrote cemetery 2019, sorry, who had cemetery? It's a separate, sorry, it is a separate item.
City
Anyone
Clerk,
quick,
Parks and Recreation.
anybody give me a quick
We could do
page
code
number on
enforcement
that?
if you like. We can,
Are we not doing anything special in the cemetery?
Well, 20,000 is what we put in here every year.
That was last year, but this year, I believe I didn't see anything. That's why I was looking at, I'm sorry, I didn't write the page number down on that one. Anybody helping me find a cemetery page?
Look at 92.
What is it? 92. Thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't know who was, are we not doing anything in the cemetery? I mean, we got so much going on, I realize that, but it's starting to look so much better.
20,000.
But I didn't see anything, I thought I saw nothing in this coming up,
You have it marked?
maybe. But I was looking at, capital improvements, I guess I was
93.
looking at nothing, zero in the capital improvement section. So,
that
because
previous
last year we put
capital-
20,000.
Previous capital money could carry forward.
So whatever we didn't use would,
Or so if we didn't do that. For example, one of the things that we looked into doing was making the bridge that goes across the creek look better. We're gonna put a brick
Right.
facade on there. That was one of the items that we had. We also had looked at upgrading the fence on the back side. You know, we've done it there on the front side and down one side. So there was some additional fencing that we could look at. So those capital items,
we didn't do them, so they're gonna carry forward.
right.
That's fine, I just,
We have so many years to actually utilize those funds under the way the city charter structures our capital expenditures.
okay. Can I ask if anyone knows, how are those little, I guess that's a clerk question, the little niches, are they being sold, are they moving along?
Yes.
They are,
We
Go ahead.
have 48 that were available, and I believe we have sold at least 20 now, which is
Oh,
good.
great.
But they're selling. Yeah, the
Great.
niches are selling.
love to see more of them when
Yeah.
we
Hopefully
need them.
next budget, maybe we can add another one.
Yeah.
Well,
we
we
sell
sell
out.
them,
There's
but,
another way to do it too, when we bring it down the road.
okay, because they're great, wonderful,
Yeah.
okay, wonderful, no, those are the only questions that I had, thank you very much.
Excuse me,
Anybody else? Any other commissioners?
Mr. Mayor, may I readdress the question
ma'am.
about the community block grants? I'm sorry, Kim had to remind me, we actually moved that into the commission's budget. So if you look on page 42,
Okay.
you'll see your $12,000.
Because we discussed in the commission giving the money,
Yes.
other than having the.
Yes.
Okay, so it's in
there,
page
but it's in-
42?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that's, just don't want to lose it. Oh, thank you. All right,
All
thanks.
right,
What does it bring our contingency up to at this point? Is that coming later, or do we know? Oh,
you got it.
oh, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wilson.
I'm good, no, I think that's all I have right now.
Anybody
Thank
else?
you.
All right, all right. I need all right, now we're gonna go to the motion that is needed. Motion move to amend the tentative budget to remove the $2,481,240 from the contingency fund. Golly. Move. I need a motion for that.
I'll be happy to make that motion to move
Need to
that.
hear a second.
Second.
Motion's been made to move the tentative budget money for $2,481,240 from the contingency fund. And it's seconded by Commissioner Wilson.
Grogan.
Grogan, I'm sorry. All right. Any comments? If not, let's vote. All right. Motion, whoops, you didn't vote. All
No.
over the first thing, you know, kidding me.
There you go.
Motion carries unanimously. All right.
Brogan,
Who did, John, you did.
Go. What? I got to turn this one.
Should we warm them up?
All right, I will now open the meeting for any members of the general public to speak or ask questions with respect to the motions to amend the proposed tentative budget. Anybody in the audience have any comments? Okay. Seeing no further members of the public wishing to speak, I now close the public speaking portion of the meeting and call upon the city commission for any further comments, questions, or discussion with respect to the amendments.
Nothing.
None, D. All right. the Director of Finance to publicly announce the recomputed proposed final millage rate and the percent by which the recomputed proposed final millage rate exceeds the rollback rate. This is the proposed percentage increase in property taxes.
The, excuse me, calculated millage rate would be 5.5, which would be 2.145% higher than the rollback rate.
2 point what?
145.
All right. Adoption of final millage rate.
Oh,
All right, we will now consider adoption of the final millage rate by ordinance. Prior to voting on the final millage rate, I will have the city attorney summarize and read the title of the final millage rate ordinance.
The name of the taxing authority is the City of Ocoee. The rollback millage rate is 5.3820 mils. The percentage by which the proposed millage rate exceeds the rollback rate is 2.145%. The millage rate proposed by the ordinance is 5.5 mils. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, establishing a final millage rate of 5.5 mils for ad valorem taxes for the City of Ocoee for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018 and ending September 30th, 2019, providing for millage adjustment, providing for collection of taxes, providing for 2.145% in millage rate over the rollback rate, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
All right. I will now open the meeting for any member of the general public to speak or ask questions with respect to the proposed final millage rate. Anybody in the public? All right. Seeing no further members of the public wishing to speak, I now close this public speaking portion of the meeting and call upon the city commission for any further comments, questions, or discussion with respect to the proposed final millage rate. Anybody up here?
No.
No more comments? All right. At this time, I will accept a motion on the final millage rate ordinance.
I make,
Just hear it, you can read it off there.
It's right on there, the red.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2018-033, setting a final millage rate at 5.5 mils for the fiscal year 2018-2019.
Second.
Seconded, motion made by Commissioner Forster, seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Any more comments? Let's vote. All right. Ordinance passes unanimously. Is it your turn now? Me again? We will now consider adoption of the final budget by ordinance. Prior to voting on the final budget, I will have the city attorney read this title of the final budget ordinance.
This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Orange County, Florida, adopting a final budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018 and ending September 30th, 2019, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
I will now call upon this meeting for any members of the general public to speak or ask questions with respect to the final budget. Nobody? All right. Seeing no further members of the public wishing to speak, I now close this last public speaking portion of the meeting and call upon the city commission for any further comments, questions, or discussion with respect to the final budget. Commissioner Grogan, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Commissioner Wilson?
no, I do not.
Commissioner Forster?
No.
Commissioner Oliver?
No, I do not.
I would say that I appreciate the staff and all our directors and our employees for their work, and especially the city manager and the finance department and assistant city manager for all their efforts in getting our budget put together and bringing it forth. And for anybody that came to citizens, we appreciate you being here. All right. Yeah. All right, go ahead and do it. One more motion. At this time, I will accept a motion on the final budget ordinance.
Move to adopt, or, no, sorry, you started, go ahead.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2018-034, approving a final budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018, and ending September 30th, 2019.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously, and second on, and,